Hello, everyone. This is Philosophy of the People with Stefan, and today we are joined by Quinn, the man who made the introduction that you've
I
been seeing
did.
so many times, and for the first time is the man that's coming after it.
Yeah, it's good to see it's still being used.
Definitely. Today we're going to be talking about hope for America, talking about mostly the very bad things that are happening over there, what it means for kind of our hopes for the United States and our hopes for the whole rest of the world. But first, we're going to start with the hopeful stuff. So on Tuesday night, Quinn, you were in New York and you're having a good
Yep.
time, and lots of people were
Uh,
having a good time.
yeah, it was a pretty ecstatic vibe. I was out in Brooklyn. Um, a few victory parties. Saw your regular co-host for a little bit. Ben had a live show that went, I think, fantastically. Huge turnout. By the time I got there, it was standing room only. So it, I think it was a good night. It
How were people? What was your? I don't know. Maybe this is a too complex question. People that were already very very drunk, but in terms of how people were feeling, in terms, I mean, I don't know what Ben was saying in terms of how do you feel that this moment is affecting kind of our hopes for New York and for the United States?
So, I mean, people were optimistic in New York. It was more at the victory party. It was very much like a you know rah rah DSA. We did it. Let's
Mm.
go. We're this is the start of our real momentum. Um, Everywhere I went, I was had a couple bars, and the vibe was a little like shocked almost. Like
Mm.
talking to a couple people, it was just like it felt like it was hard to believe that the thing that we wanted to happen actually happened.
Because you got a
Um,
flat majority in the end, so all the bullshit about like, oh, if that weird guy dropped out or whatever, like it wouldn't have mattered.
yeah, I mean, I have a soft spot for Silva, even though
Oh
his
no, me
politics are
100%. Like I think he's great, but
terrible. Bad person. He's so entertaining. I think that
yeah.
like there's some figures in American politics that they shouldn't have power, but like they are really funny. Like I think
Well, yeah, I
that
mean, what's the name of your current mayor? Is that Adams?
oh Eric Adams, yeah,
Yeah, like
the
him, Trump, Silva. That
yeah, no, I think that those are the kind of people that I think that we should make. I think Chapo has a bit about this where they we just put them on like a lot somewhere, like
yeah.
give them like a closed set, Truman show them off, let them think that they're actually power, but it's all just like a televised show.
Well, like you make them like the Irish president, who like just kind of walks around and like opens nurseries and stuff.
Even then, I think that having them be like symbolically actually valuable is is risky. Just
But
like
it's interesting with the DSA point, right? That people have predicted the death of the DSA or the end of the DSA has been a relevant factor, and clearly it's proved them wrong.
yeah, the this is like it's New York, and like DSA as a national organization is a kind of a complex conversation that I don't really like. I don't have the stats in front of
Ron's
me,
funny,
and
you see.
yeah, I'm sure Varn would have you know more
Yeah, no, he
more
talked for the
strict
next
words
2 hours
against it.
just on that question.
But like the DSA, the strongest place that they have is New York.
Yeah.
It and but I think that the campaign that Mamdani ended up pulling together was definitely larger than DSA. I know that
Oh, 100%.
the couple of people that I know that like were actually working on the campaign were like involved in DSA, but like kind of anecdotally, I know that a lot of the people that went out canvassing were not like, dues paying members by any means. There were I was talking to someone from I want to say it was like oh god, I'm blanking on the
But
org.
no, I
It
mean,
was a different org,
this is
but
a philosophy show. You don't have to be accurate about empirical facts.
oh okay, yeah, no. So I'm just
As
gonna make
long
it up.
as,
It
long as they're
was
true in a deeper sense.
it was probably JVP, but it was one of like the kind of Jewish lefty orgs that
Right, right.
they were not DSA, and they had their own like kind of critique of DSA. But they were like, we have to do our own kind of help to mobilize for Mamdani because we think this is going to be good for, you know, pushing back against Israel, at least within like New York domestic politics.
Yeah, I mean, Maldani himself is also someone, I think he's the first politician I've seen that every time I see a clip of him, I like him more, especially when he's like stood alongside like other American politicians who like, you'll ask them like, oh, how can we improve bus services? And they'll be like, well, Israel is the greatest country in the world.
Yeah, and I think that pissed a lot of people off. And there's, I'm not going to talk about like the anti-politics framework because frankly I don't understand it well enough to use it correctly, but I do think that a lot of the support was like just utter frustration with, you know, I think that a lot of the like the Israel stuff helped him with normal voters. It like no normal person
it was a
is gonna,
situation where they were trying to make him out as a freak, but
yeah, and he was like
normal compared to them.
Like, no, I'm gonna stay in New York and do my job. Like, why would I go to Israel? And people were acting like that was going to be, you know, a big scandal. That helped him.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
And I think things like that are like, I don't know how much we can really draw from them. I mean, I'd like to, you know, be optimistic and say that it portends great things for the growing of, you know, political power, mobilizing popular support for our project. I don't know.
I mean, I would say I think it's hopeful for the rest of the world whenever Americans are more focused on changing their own country than other people's.
Oh, sure, 100%.
And that's a good sign there.
Yeah, and I think like kind of frankly, I think it's a matter of when, not if, in terms of like federal troops in New York. Given the way that I mean, even then, like I can't make definitive statements because that's how, you know, anytime you say something definitively, the opposite thing happens.
I think that the federal troops thing is interesting because from what I can tell, it is this like major imposition of something that's not meant to happen in the United States is like a completely contrary to your like Republican traditions and so on. But at the same time, they haven't really managed to get anything out of it in the sense that they've sent of all these like provocation squads basically into cities, but just humiliate themselves really.
Yeah, I definitely think that they're really trying to manufacture some kind of like flashpoint, something to really galvanize around. They tried to do it with Charlie Kirk, and like I think that one they just like weren't prepared enough and they didn't get on top of it fast enough. But also, like, you know, who cares about Charlie Kirk really? Like, who cared about it before then? You know, people who were really invested in like specific media careers and then like politics nerds, but that's like, you know, a tiny chunk of the country. Most people did not know who Charlie Kirk was. And so it's hard to make a flashpoint out of that. So they're trying to make a flashpoint out of, you know, Antifa pushing back against our federal overreach, but it's not happening. So they end up with egg on their face.
Yeah.
Or I guess they end up, you know, fucking terrorizing like Guatemalan immigrants. And
right, because it is true that they're concretely like the ICE guys are concretely like deporting more people, at least within cities.
Yeah, and they're doing it in like really kind of brutal, almost fucking slapstick ways.
Yeah.
It just like fucking like stomach churning shit that like is turning off most like normal people.
Right. I mean, everyone wants, you know, 10 million people deported until it happens in their neighborhood, right? And they have to see it happen to people they know.
Yeah, I think that's also just the story with crime in general, that people think crime is a problem, but they don't think it's a problem near them.
Yeah. The story I'll always remember is when there was some anti-vaping group. They got vaping banned, like a city audience thing in some city in the United States. And then like some black kid got like brutalized by a cop because he's vaping outside. And the advocacy group was like, we didn't want this to happen. It's like, well, it was the expected and direct result of what you advocate for.
Yeah, I think that like there's definitely a real disconnect in this country. There has been for a long time about like what people think they want and what they like to see. It's one of many weird contradictions in American politics that make it like fucking
I think
insane.
there's a lot of hope that Americans still have in a certain way. That they really believe that some like things will go as they want as long as they kind of push this idea.
Yeah, it's a real. I mean, it's a hope. It's an optimism. It's a. I mean,
I
a
don't know
bit
if you've ever
absurd
seen
optimism.
polling from the UK. Because polling in the UK normally goes, well, it's like always like 30% will say, I don't know. But then what will normally happen will be like, should we do this measure to stop immigration? And like 60% will say yes. And then people ask, will it work? And then like 100% will say no. People
Wonderful.
are completely hopeless here. But on hope with Mamdani, what is actually our concrete kind of, what could he do in a serious way to actually change things in New York, and how could that seriously help out with kind of pushing similar men to gain similar positions of power in the rest of the United States?
So, like, realistically, a lot of the stuff he campaigned on is like within reason. Like, it's not. He focused on like stuff that's not like super ambitious. He focused on like making a couple bus lines free, which is not like it's a bit expensive, but it's not crazy.
Oh, right. So he's not doing universal public transport for free.
So not public transport, just the buses, not the subway. And I think it's supposed to like go line by line. So eventually it's going to be all of them, but like it's starting with a few and then it's like rolling out as it goes. The proposal was for public grocery stores was like also pretty mild. It's like
take like one per neighborhood or something.
So it's one per borough. So it's five
so it's like
for the entire city of millions of people. It's like it's not gonna be a huge destabilizing factor. It's gonna affect a couple neighborhoods. It's on land that the city already owns, and it's gonna operate like at cost, basically. So it's the hope is that it'll like work as like a like pushing down the market for groceries to make other grocery stores in the area kind of have to adapt a little bit. Oop. And like it's not that crazy. That's kind of what Publix is. That I think started down in Florida. It's not that ambitious.
Also, maybe I should have gone back a bit. Actually, what powers does the New York City mayor have, and how is that divided with the New York governor?
So,
sorry if we're doing like Paul 101 here.
Yeah, so the governor and Albany generally, like including the state senate, control all of the funding. And yeah, so New York has its like own budget. Like New York City has its own budget specifically, but they do actually like have to like, you know, it's a city. It can't do like MMT, you know,
right?
New York is not printing its own money.
But like, is there New York sales tax, New York City sales tax, or is there only New York sales tax?
So yeah, some of that, a lot of the changes to the tax code do have to get approved by Albany, so that has to go through the state senate in Albany, and the governor. There are some other powers that New York City mayor has, like you can issue municipal bonds. That's how like
so he does have bond raising powers. That's pretty good.
Yeah, but you know the bond market is
it's not great right now.
Well, but also the buyers are like the business class. They're
right. So
they are very much.
It would put him literally in debt with the business class.
Yeah. So this is I think Jenkins ran into this problem. I know what's his name? The 2 mayors ago. Fuck me if I can't remember anyone's name. But multiple New York City mayors have run into the problem of trying to raise more money through the bond market and having it be like having a major pushback from the business community because they're like, you know, you're not giving us everything we want, so fuck you.
Right. So they won't buy. They'll do like a capital strike and refuse to buy the bonds.
Yeah, a little bit. There's the mayor appoints members of the rent guidelines board, which are the people who set the limits on rent regulated and rent stabilized apartments. So,
and what percentage do you know which percentage of apartments are affected by these regulations? Like how many are rent supported?
I don't know the percentage. It's
someone in chat, please Google. I can't because my keyboard's half broken.
I know it's something. It's a couple million. It's not like an insignificant number.
Okay, a couple of million. That's a lot. Because how many is New York? 15 million. How many housing units? Like something like that.
Something like that. Let's see. Google AI says 50 to 55% of rental units.
Oh, so a lot.
Okay, no, 45%.
Okay, so that's
45. Yeah, no, it's a pretty significant chunk. And the rent guidelines board, and so like whether that's actually followed is a bit of a crapshoot. Like I had a building, there's certain criteria that you have that necessarily make your building subject to rent regulation. If it was built.
All right, so it's not just a kind of an old system, but new apartments can be made into rent regulated based on certain specifications.
Yeah, so I think that like baseline, it's any building that is built before like 1973 and has more than I think six or more apartments is by default rent regulated. There's I had a building that was subject to that, but if the landlord files for rent or for the building to be deregulated, a tenant has to like file suit against them within 10 years of the filing, whether or not the filing is valid. So once the statute of limitations expires on like their push to deregulate a building, it's kind of done and like you can't get it back. I don't remember the specifications for like new units. I think most of the brand new units are not rent regulated, but it's not.
Yeah, I don't need to try and force you to remember every detail you know about New York rental apartments.
I spent a while doing some.
I mean, if you know, then
New York City tenant law. So there's like a part of my brain that should remember all of this, but doesn't.
But yeah, so the problem, as I understand it, is that Maldani doesn't directly control this board, but rather they have like expiring terms where he can appoint them later on, or
yeah. So he can appoint members to it. Adams is trying to stack the board right now, but I think that mayoral power, he does have enough power to dismiss people from the board and appoint new people. So getting the rent freeze is something that's totally like totally on the table, and I think that's going to be one of the easiest things. I'm interested to see what Lena Khan pulls out, because her whole kind of tenure at the FTC was very much like finding existing laws on the books. Yeah, soon it's its own board that's under city government, but the members are appointed by the mayor. I think there are a couple seats that are also appointed by city council, but
they're very large and there's no fourth wall.
Yeah, no, exactly. And famously, you can get enormous ones and just live in them without having real jobs. It's super easy to get
And
an
you
apartment
live so
that
close to
huge.
each other that you can go there for breakfast before work.
Yeah, hmm definitely.
One
Um,
of the most interesting things about Maldani's campaign to me, as Soon mentions here, is that he also ran on small business deregulation in an attempt to kind of mix kind of normal ideas of the left and normal ideas of the right, uh, in an attempt to actually be able for people, not less bodegas as I understand it, but more food street carts and this sort of thing.
yes. Yeah, yeah. So the halal cart thing has been uh like a long running problem because the city, a little bit like the legal dispensaries. So like New York City, it's legal to sell weed, right?
Yeah.
But the city has only issued like a dozen licenses to set
Oh,
up
that's
a
foul.
dispensary. Um, and so there's this whole thing of like, you can set it up and run it for like 3 weeks before you get shut down. And like, it's not criminalized. You just like, eventually an inspector comes in and is like, you guys don't have a license for this. You got to shut it down. But in the meantime, you can like print through money. And for the longest time, it was just like, you know, they would pop up and disappear and pop up and disappear. This
Huh.
like legal whack-a-mole that was like utterly incomprehensible, but because the city government wouldn't issue licenses. And it's a kind of similar thing with the food carts, that there's a fixed number, and they're all bought up and then they're like auctioned off. So I think the cost to get a food truck license is like it's like $600,000.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
I remember seeing the
it's
video of Maldani's or
it's
something like that.
really really high. And if the
And is it
city
also
issued a
that
bunch
like
more,
you old guys can like sell their license to a new
yeah,
guy?
mhm. it it's a bit like the medallion system for
I was about to say
taxis.
it's just like the taxi
Um,
medallion system, right?
it's bizarre. And at least the taxi medallions, there's like a union to like
Yeah.
back that power up.
Right, because the taxi medallion guys are all workers at least, as opposed to the food cart guys who are probably not working solo.
No, I mean it's often like a bit of a family business.
Yeah.
The one by my old apartment, the the main guy who was there, it was him, his cousin, and his little brother, who were the ones always working.
Mm.
Um, and I think that like there isn't as much pushback from them to like protect their licenses because nobody likes the system, and it's
Yeah.
not nobody's like really extracting rents that much off of it except for like a couple middlemen, which nobody
Yeah.
really needs. So like that kind of thing is, it's like basic like civil governance that would be really helpful, and is the kind that New York has not had in a while, because all of our mayors have been ineffective or just blatantly corrupt.
But despite this kind of outreach by Maldani, I understand that he was still totally typecast as like the left wing guy. It's just people decided actually this time we like the left wing guy and we want him.
Yeah, I think that I think it's like also like it's New York. It's a very left leaning city, and it's especially like Cuomo that they're really running against. I think if it was a better centrist lib, it would have been a lot closer.
Mm.
But unless you're like, unless you move to the city in like 2023, I guess 2022 maybe, but like most people remember how bad it was during COVID. Like I was upstate for most of the worst of the pandemic, but I would come down and like there were entire streets that were just completely shut off with like morgue tents set up in the middle of the street.
Jesus.
Like I remember that shit. And like everybody I know, from you know you know card carrying members of the party to regular normies, everyone fucking hated Cuomo. after like it at first they were like, oh, maybe he's like, pushing back against Trump, maybe it's going to be okay. Pretty soon everyone was like, no, oh no, he's fucking killing people, and he's like writing a book about it and like doing promo for his book while people are dying. We hate him. And so all the people that
do you think anyone was like kind of convinced with the idea that Zohan was like an Islamist, like an actual Islamist, like not in the idea that like, okay, he's an Arab, he's an Islamic, like I don't like him because I'm racist, basically. But I think of like actually believing that he was an Islamist who like wanted to institute like Sharia law in New York. Because like to me, he seems such an obvious metropolitan lib that you wouldn't ever believe that. You believe lots of other dirty things about him, but not that one.
Frankly, I don't think that that's like a real belief. At least for in this country, for the most part, I don't think that like Islamist kind of ideologically is meaningfully separated from just being Arab. Like there is no sense of being against like Islamic ideology that's not just racism,
right?
Because I mean, because just being racist is like an acceptable like in this country, that's like an acceptable move apparently. I mean, at least I think I remember hearing stuff about like kind of pre 9/11 that it wasn't quite as bad, but for as long as I've been alive, it's been, politically profitable to just be, publicly racist. Yeah, I actually, there's no qualification on that. Many people have been very successful in this country just by being publicly racist.
So you do think you're optimistic that Zoran can do stuff in New York, but I guess
so he'll be able to do some things. I think that how much he's able to do is a function of how the municipal bond market responds, how much he's able to push around Kathleen Hochul, because I mean, she's a weird governor. Like,
she's a Democrat, right? But
it's a Democrat, kind of a centrist. But like, I'm kind of shocked by how consistently terrible her political instincts are. But she's also like has no backbone. She had a big thing about how she was going to veto congestion pricing in the city, and it was the worst thing ever, and she had to shut it down. And then she couldn't make it happen. It got pushed through anyway. It was massively popular, and now she's like, "Oh no, yeah, I supported congestion pricing the whole time." Like, she will just follow whatever she thinks is going to be more popular, and if she thinks if there's a compelling case to be made that it'll be more helpful to her to support Mamdani's agenda, she'll jump onto it. Like, she's not ideologically stuck to basically anything.
I was saying in a group chat to some Americans a few days ago that I was like, oh, it's weird that Zohan is basically at this point at like the most powerful he could ever be at 34, because he can't become the president, right? And then I was like, oh, but would you rather be governor or would you rather be mayor? And also,
the governor has more power, but
would you rather be New York senator or?
Yeah, I think also the fact that he's not a natural born U.S. citizen kind of limits the amount of power that he can have.
Yeah. I mean, you can still be a senator, right? As a foreign born.
That's a good question. I think that the whole Ted Cruz drama proved that you could.
Right.
If anyone remembers that I think that was 2016.
Yeah.
Was that the campaign where everyone figured out he was born in Canada?
Right. I did find it funny that the Cumtown guys have ended up way closer to AOC, Bernie, Zohan than the Chapo guys.
Yeah, I mean, I was never the biggest Cumtown fan. They're funny occasionally. I don't think I have the patience to sit through like the 2 hour long podcast that has like 10 minutes of really funny material in it. But like they seem fine. The what's his face? Adam Friedland's like interview show is like
Yeah.
It's fun. The Dick Cavett bit is like is a nice little kind of aesthetic thing. But I think that they're not like politics guys, they're comedians who like have like some politics. And so they're happy to jump on kind of politicians bandwagon. There was the Zoran interview with Chapo. There were some real moments that like gave me some pause about Zoran. The keeping Jessica Tisch as police commissioner
That just happened, right?
Is concerning. Yeah, well, he said he would do that, and now there's like some more controversy with her that like kind of gave him an out to be like, oh well, I didn't agree to this, but he's keeping her on. The problem with being New York City mayor is that you need, it's kind of like an impossible job. You need the police union, the real estate lobby, and like kind of Wall Street. You need
right. So you need to be favorite groups.
So of those three groups, you need to be okay with one of them and at least not actively enemies with one of the others. You can piss off one of them, but you can't really get away with making enemies of two of them and get anything done.
So what are your hopes for kind of Zohan 2? Not in necessarily like Podding, fucking Utah or whatever, but in other large left lib cities in the US. Like, how do you think there's chances for these lib cities to turn red in the other sense?
We'll see. I think that I mean, Varn kind of talks about this too, of most people just not believing us when like people being like, oh yeah, no, that sounds great, but I don't believe that you'll actually do it. And I think that the stakes for the Zoran mayoral administration are kind of high, just because if we can be shown to be actually delivering material good to people's lives and like making people's lives better, it makes our pitch nationally a lot easier. Being like, hey, you know how we said we were going to, make some things in your life better? Look, we did it over there. We can come do it here. That's a much better pitch to people than like, hey, let's make your lives better. Hypothetically. Would you like higher taxes and maybe things will get better? Or would you like things to get better? Maybe there's some other stuff. But like the having some kind of track record to fall back on is going to be super important for convincing like normal people, which like most people are not involved in politics. Like the kind of the shit that we in this space and like on this corner of the internet care about, 8 out of 10 people look at us like we're fucking insane. at least in this country.
I ran into a friend a few days ago, and he was saying that a friend of his doesn't like Zohan. And I was like, why not? And he's like, because like he doesn't want to abolish prisons or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
So okay, we've had 35 minutes of hope. That's enough. Quinn, what do you think the worst thing happening in the United States is? If it's hard to pick, you can do a top 3.
Well, I think the building concentration camps is not great. Or I mean, building bigger concentration camps. The black bagging people off the street, maybe not ideal. Let's see. The liberal opposition party not doing their job. And
I like the bit where your president knocked down your president house.
Oh my god. It's like a stupid fucking symbolic thing. I do think that like there were some polling thing I saw on Twitter that was like, oh, maybe this actually moved the needle more because people really did not like it.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. It fucking ruins the facade and like the massing of the building. It makes it totally
Right.
lopsided.
It's completely
And
lopsided, yeah.
it's the building itself is gaudy and ugly, and it like there's a bunch of details that like don't make sense if you're trying to do neoclassical, and don't make sense if you're trying to do like a kind of modernist spin on it. It's
I mean, it's funny that Trump is like the most aesthetically obsessed president, at least in living memory, and he's also has like the worst aesthetic taste.
Oh, it's really bad. I mean, like I guess, you know, taste is subjective or whatever, but Jesus Christ, it's so fucking ugly.
So I was just trying to make myself sneeze. Didn't quite work. I'm on edge. I'm edging right now.
Wonderful.
So, I mean, as I understand it, kind of there is, you know, the immigration situation, the situation with deportees is, and also like an increasing crossover to, as always, like, you know, it's war come home stuff, but like the weapons that are used against non-citizens or then just directly being used against citizens, either because of their racial status, because they're like lib protesters, or just because like these ICE guys are going around like completely unmarked. So then criminals are just dressing up in the same way and so on. So there's that, but then there's also the kind of thing of like, more generally, Trump seems to be doing all the things that hysterical libs thought he was going to do in Trump 1, where he's kind of like threatening basically like the directly attacking like the Republican structures of the United States.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, where's the resistance libs? We need them, right? But I don't even know. Like it's so hard to pick like one thing when everything feels so like apocalyptic.
Did you see the One Battle After Another movie?
I did, yeah, I really liked it.
Nice. We'll talk about that for next the rest of the show.
Fuck, dude. I mean,
oh man, if I'd known I watched it, I would have literally done this episode as let's mainly talk about One Battle After Another and then talk about real politics like in connection to it.
Okay, I'm so down. Did you read the book Vineland?
No.
Okay, it's honestly a pretty fast read. It's not like quite as dense as some of Pynchon's other stuff, but it's the book is very much like it's 60s radicals that have gone underground, and now in the 80s Reagan is hunting them down. And I think that doing like a straight adaptation would not have been as successful as what that movie ended up being.
I mean, the crazy thing for me was watching it and being like, this was clearly under production during Biden. And if Biden had won Kamala had won the election, whatever, one of them had won the election last year, how would the film have made any sense? Would it not seem completely bizarre? Well, because it went from completely bizarre to just seeming like, oh wow, this is just completely prescient.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the Biden administration wasn't also like
right, and there's
doing like some real horrific
in charge of the kind of civil authority, because it's kind of the military arm and these secret societies that are.
Yeah, I mean, God, I love that all of the names are very Pynchonian, but they're just so fucking on the nose and ridiculous. Like the Christmas Clan. Oh my God. Oh, it was so much fun.
No, I mean, I loved it because it was the first movie I'd ever seen that was about like there are effective, useful revolutionaries in the movie, but they aren't the main characters. In One Battle After Another, the main characters are like the fuck ass mediocre revolutionaries, and that really appealed to me on a personal level.
Yeah, no, tell me about it. How did you meet a lot of Bobs out in Syria?
No, I mean, I think I'm more, at least, well, yeah, okay. There were people that were, to me, Bobs. And I remember one guy very specifically who was completely a Bob,
Mhm.
that somehow, like, he was 6 months clean from weed because he was in Syria, obviously. He still seemed completely stoned. Like, he just smoked so much in his life that he was just, like, permanently like that, you know?
This is not one of our fellow podcasters.
No.
Oh, okay.
This was
I had someone in mind, but like, no, I don't think it was weed.
no, this is someone I knew
Gotcha.
from
No,
Syria,
that's
which I haven't known since. And yeah, that was the only one of two people I saw that ever did an accidental discharge. But no, rather in comparison to the like the top quality guys that I met in Rojava, I feel like a Bob.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh god. The fucking the bit where the guy like he remembered like 90% of the
Yeah, yeah.
code and then he couldn't remember the last bit. He's like, man, you shouldn't remember the handbook. Like
But it was great because it's also a movie.
I met that guy. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that
It's a
guy
movie.
is handing out pamphlets at the back of the People's Forum right now.
Yeah, it seemed like it was bizarre because it seemed like a movie with like micro left in jokes, which
Mhm.
nevertheless I'm watching just with my friend in a major movie, and the main character is Leonardo DiCaprio. Um, I've lost my thread. Say something you like about the movie.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of that. I think that the like having all of the
First movie I saw someone vaping.
oh yeah, no, we're vaping, not smoking. No, I remember that. Yeah.
He was vaping inside while drinking wine out of a tumbler. Real authenticity.
Yeah,
Real
that's
millennial
no,
authenticity.
yeah, that's like 3 people I can think of. I mean, you know, pouring it out of the bottle is a step that seems like maybe a little too far.
No, like drinking wine out of the bottle sucks. Like the hole
Well,
is not
yeah, of
made
course
for
it
that.
sucks, but some people are fucking lazy and they're like, do I want to drink it out of this like coffee mug that I kind of half-heartedly wiped down, or do I want to just drink it out of the bottle?
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. It was the first movie I'd seen that had like successful pronoun jokes and successful trigger warning jokes.
Yeah.
Because it
Well,
seemed to
because
come
those
from
things
the
are actually
perspective.
funny if you're gonna make a real joke about them. The problem with those
Yeah,
movies
there's so
is
much comedy there, but
they get too mad.
it
They
requires you
get
to act,
mad as
yeah,
they're
not
making the
just
joke,
be
so they
furious nonstop,
yeah.
but also to have some grasp on why people actually use them,
Mhm.
and so that you can do an authentic parody of them.
Yeah. Oh god. I'm trying to think of other things that I really loved about it. I mean, holy shit, fucking Tiana Taylor was amazing. Like her
Yeah,
performance was incredible.
this
Another
is the
reason that
Debiatrix, right?
yeah, so she
Yeah,
played Perfidia,
yeah.
the mom. She's so talented. Another reason to hate on Kanye because she was signed to Good Music under
Oh,
him
right.
because she also does music and like the way that he fucked up her album rollout, or her 2 album rollouts actually, like
Wait, how old is she?
totally like older than she looks.
Okay. I mean, I assume so, but like 2 albums is still a lot.
Yeah, she's 34.
Oh, right. Wow.
Um, but she like she was putting out music since she was like 16.
Yeah.
Um, she's been like putting out a bunch of stuff, but you know, because Kanye wanted to go off to Wyoming and make like a 25-minute album with Nas, he like totally stepped on her release
Hmm.
schedule and like pushed back a bunch of parts of her career. That's like I'm glad she's seeing good work now.
This
It
movie
is.
was in cinemas. It might have
I think
just
it still
left.
is. Oh, I think it still is around me at least. But
So obviously we've done this all in the wrong order, but
sure.
one battle after another is a movie of, well, I wouldn't say two halves, but one third and 2/3 of another movie. The first set is set kind of, I guess, in about 2010. It's a bit generic, but kind of
Yeah,
around that
I
time.
think that placing it specifically in time is a bit hard on purpose. Like it's left ambiguous just so that like, you know.
Yeah, but I guess my point would be it's when millennials were young.
Sure.
The first half is set when millennials are young, and ends is about a revolutionary group in the United States who specifically target basically ICE.
Yeah.
They go into ICE camps, they attack them, while they also do classical left stuff like bank robbing and so on. And as often with left groups, some people are seriously revolutionaries, and some people are basically bandits who, like social bandits, who happen to be aligned with the left or have those sorts of sensibilities. And other people kind of are there for love and these sort of reasons. And that leads in the first half to a disaster which occurs. And the second half, we pick up 15 to 20 years later, in a time when millennials are getting on and the Zoomers are young and people are vaping and people are having pronouns and all kinds of stuff. And in that second half, we kind of watch the fallout of that previous time kind of come to fruition.
Yeah, and in an interesting way that is, you know, the ghosts of the failure of revolution are kind of haunting them, and you know, grabbing them off the streets, and Benicio was fantastic. He kind of plays this he's like a sensei who's like a big community leader who's not
insane.
He was so cool. He was just like, you know, just a few small beers and a dream.
Was the whole kind of like Mexican indigenous angle present in the original book?
No. Okay. So the original book, it transposes the setting a little bit. It's still California, but Vineland is like a fictional little town up like in like the north of Napa Valley. So kind of outside of the Bay Area, but like fairly no, they were in LA for the revolutionary parts. But and there was a whole like there's digressions about like there was this whole little the rock and roll revolution, which was like a commune that was set up at a like a community college that ended up taking over the school, and then the US Marines raided it. Just like a bunch of kind of absurd, really like taking some like a pastiche of things that actually happened in the 60s and heightening them. But there's also like a weird Japan white slavery subplot. The book is weird. The book is much weirder than the movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's a postmodern novel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That being said, putting it in SoCal, where instead of the people being like rounded up, being kind of nebulous, and a little like hard to pin down, having it be pointed like, you know, Mexicans and Guatemalans are being grabbed off the street and put into camps to be like flown across. It's much more pointed and I think more effective than what the book was going for. The book was also like written in the early 90s, I think. So it's got a bunch of hangups about like, you know, like zaibatsus and shit that's just like no longer relevant.
I would say like there is obviously the movie is not trying to be communist or anything like this, but in the movie, kind of the revolutionary perspective does seem very limited. Is that they're just engaging kind of like a struggle on the basis of immigration, and then otherwise doing like bank robberies or whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what's being shown. I think that for me, the revolution of the revolutionaries felt very nebulous on purpose. It was like the
I think the movie did very well to seem completely pointed in some parts and then vague in others in a way which really helped it.
Yeah, I think that all the pointed parts were very much about like the human aspect to it, and some of the larger like larger analogies or allusions are vague on purpose. I think not only to kind of give it a wider appeal, but also just to make it like not totally age like milk. Because I think that they would like to make this movie
great movie,
compelling.
It was very much benefited from the time it's come out, I think.
Oh, 100%. But I think that it's a movie that if in 10 years, back on the hope part, if we have a significantly better America than we do now, it's still an engaging and interesting movie because like Red is saying over here, it's about family and it's about like the actual human beings that have to do.
I mean, hopefully in 10 years it'll be much more of a comedy. It'll feel much more like a comedy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that would be great.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't expect the whole like quite intensely psychosexual angle of it. But I guess that is a symptom of the novel it's coming from.
Yeah.
And I think it was I was in the end happy, even though I didn't particularly like that part. I was happy that people are willing to do that still in 2025. So I feel like a more cowardly director would have just dropped that part.
100%. I think that like there's a weird like sanitization of like, we're not going to have any sex in our movies, which feel like it seems like it's popular with like the Zoomer age demographic, which I guess I'm like, I don't know if I'm part of or not, but
yeah, you're on your cusp.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. It seems bad to cut out a significant chunk of the human experience because
this the whole thing is like as pornography becomes more and more common, it just drains the sexuality out of everything else.
Yeah, like
I'd like porn to be banned just so I could see like how horny Hollywood would get again.
You know what? I'm on board for it. Let's go.
Let's go.
No more porn. Make things. No more porn. Everything gets sexier.
Yeah.
Everything gets way more horned up, but you can't actually see it happen.
Yeah.
No, that sounds fun. I'm on board with that. A new Hays Code.
It was the best movie I'd seen since June 2. I think. Really just impressed me in every way. I think the only point where I was kind of disappointed was when the indigenous guy kind of like he like breaks on racial lines, like he refuses to stay loyal to the regime and dies for the girl. I don't know if that's in the book or whatever, but that bit I was a bit like,
Yeah, that's another character that's not really in the book, or is kind of pulling on a couple different aspects of different characters. I don't even know. Like, I think that it was like informed by like the kind of racist. Like he's sick of like the being a victim of like racist harassment is the thing that pushed him over the edge. But I don't know.
The like operator sitting in the chair also seemed the most clearly like he looked the most like a contemporary like Nazi that was fighting in Ukraine or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that aesthetic definitely felt like it was even it was pulling from like pre-Ukrainian aesthetics, like like the base or like Adam Waffen.
Well, the kind of main Nazis in the film are much more kind of that was the bit that felt most those guys felt the most Reaganite, but I think that was deliberate because they're also like graying, it's an organization which is clearly getting on. Like their youngest recruit is going to be Colonel Lockjaw, who himself I guess is meant to be like in his 60s in the second half of the movie.
Well, the hitman that
was sent younger, but like
is younger, but like the young crop is in their late 40s, maybe.
Yeah.
If not in mid 50s.
Yeah.
It's and the only younger kind of fashy people we see are like the people in uniform, like the actual, grunts on the ground, and the fashy paramilitary group.
Yeah. Oh wait, the Actually, paramilitary?
or
You mean
the
because
like
they were?
militia compound guys that she gets dropped off at.
Oh, right. I assumed they were just that was like. Oh yeah, I guess they had to be some kind of private, like at least semi-private organization.
Yeah, I think that they were like no,
Because
it was
I
something
assume they
like
were basically
incredibly
like
stupid.
deputized, like immigration hunters
No, it was they were
slash
they
death
were
squad.
called like the 1776 Club or something.
Oh, okay. I
Um
guess might have missed that bit.
like it was something I don't it might have been something else, but it was something super like on the nose. Like it's not Patriot Front, it's not the Proud Boys, but it's like not the Proud Boys. Um I think it was supposed to be some kind of like, 3%er type group.
The heritage Americans.
Oh my god, yeah. Jesus. It's like
It's crazy, but that's the amazing thing about the film is like who when that film was being made, no one was talking about heritage Americans, but it just happened to come at the same time that
yeah,
people
like
started doing the heritage American bit.
it's sad that the like the parody racism of like we're going to turn it up to 11 so people know these guys are the bad guys. We're going to make
Right.
it absurd so you can laugh at how stupid
Right.
and incoherent the racists are. And then like that's just what the Republican Party's talking points are.
The Christmas Club bit where he's had a mixed child, and the guy's like, "Okay, sir, but what kind of mixed?" And he's like, "Black." And he's like, incredible stuff.
Yeah. You should
So,
watch the movie.
Quinn,
I mean, I don't know if people have seen the movie that we're just kind of like vaguely
yeah,
alluding to.
I was
It's a
I was
great
about
movie.
to
You
get
should see it.
back on track on some kind of track, which is Quinn. How far away do you think the United States is from being just the United States that is featured in one battle after another? How many steps are we away?
So, like Lenin didn't actually say there are you know weeks where decades happen
Oh, did
sometimes.
you not? I thought
I
that was
think
a
I
real
heard
one.
it was apocryphal. Apparently he
Okay,
didn't actually say it.
so in the chat, Google
I
it.
yeah, I'll go
You're
there.
not allowed to Google it. You have to keep going with your speech.
But I don't think that we're like that close to it right now, but also I mean I've had this conversation with a lot of friends that are less politically engaged with me, or like, I a friend of mine is, kind of, a little bit more centrist, but kind of apolitical. And he's like, can be a little worried. It's like, how far are we like, how close are we to the, Nazi civilians who didn't do anything?
Mm.
Frankly, I don't know.
Mm.
It seems like it's not that bad yet. Like it's bad, but we don't have any domestic death camps.
I was going to say that at least the concrete death toll in the United States is still basically zero.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the people who we've sent to CCOT, which kind of a black box, but seems like
Yeah, and
there
also
might
like
be
just droning random boats in the Caribbean, but again, it's not happening in the US. But it's getting closer.
But
The
so
drone
that's
strikes
like
are getting closer and closer to the continental United States.
Yeah, and that's where I think it could change on a dime and get a lot worse really quickly. Like it
Because if you can drone strike a boat that's kind of 100 miles from Florida, what moral or legal reason is that you couldn't drone it when it hit the shore in Florida?
I mean, we're way past the point of like legality even coming into it. It's just whether or not they have the balls to do it. Like, and it's not like we don't have the infrastructure for it. We're already running the drones over the southern border. It's just whether or not like we actually, put the knife missiles on the drone before it takes off and then lands back down in San Diego.
It's very interesting though, right? Because at least for the whole Obama period, the US right became incredibly legalistic, at least in its tone and its rhetoric or whatever. And that seems to be quite a common theme that's existed on the right for a long time in the United States. But
And
now
I
it
think
seems
that's how they got a lot of their power. Like,
yeah,
like through
But
the
as the United States
judiciary.
goes into deeper and deeper crisis, they're apparently just like, oh, let's just do Caesarism.
I think also they have developed a base that they no longer really have control over. You know, I think back in there's that Goldwater speech where he's like, oh, you know, we talk about busing and all these other euphemisms, and inherent in that speech is I'm not gonna, you know, go through all of the slurs he said after that, but
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have Jason on, and we could just get him to say them all. He'd love it.
yeah, you know, he loves an excuse to drop a couple N-bombs. But kind of inherent in that is that, like, we're using this racism. We also kind of like think that you're rubes for falling for it.
Yeah.
Like there's a little bit of like, oh, we're going to use that, but like we know it's like a ploy to get what we want. And we're just we're getting away with pulling one over on these fucking stupid racists. And now, like, you know, the rubes are in charge.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have all of the power quite yet. You know,
and it's interesting. I don't know.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is not, you know, a majority.
Yeah. It might not. How genuine she is a different question. I also like to just call it MTG, upsetting all the Magic the Gathering results. But anyway, like how genuine she is. But I think it is very interesting, like, because the problem with true believers is they believe in things, and then when like the actual leadership aren't interested in those things, some of them will just give up and just be like, well, I like money. But some of them will be like, no, what, I want to do the thing.
Yeah.
And it's a constant problem for like this is a very global problem for like Islamist groups. That whenever like in like Jolani in Syria isn't now in power, and he's like, well, obviously I'm not going to like impose like ISIS like Sharia because the West will get mad at me. But then all his guys are like, I thought you were the real guy. And if you're not the real guy, then they go to someone else who's worse.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, oh god, there was some shit I remember reading about kind of cross currents between like kind of international fighters from it was like Chechnya and Dagestan that were like coming from like Ukraine back and forth.
Yeah, like whole kind of units moved from Syria to Ukraine.
That like are like, you know, they're willing to, you know, fight and blow shit up for anyone who's gonna tell them that they're gonna institute, you know, some kind of stricter top-down control.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously also the Russian and Ukrainian armies themselves, which when they eventually find peace, are going to have a massive excess of people who are incredibly good at killing people, who have more military experience than all the soldiers in like of this kind of warfare, than all soldiers in Western armies combined. And you know, you hope that there'll be like the Ukrainians or the Russians, or some of them will send like a corpse or two to West Africa to stop the Islamic State and Al Qaeda. But actually, they'll probably be used for much worse things. But I assume we're going to be having a full 30 years of global Ukrainian mercenaries, especially Russians too, but more globally Ukrainians because of just reasons of how capitalism and global imperialism works, doing all sorts of things all across the world.
Yeah, I mean, what's that? There's a Warren Zevon song, "Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner," which is
Nice.
you know, about a former mercenary from, I think, Angola or Mozambique that you know, gets his head blown off and then continues to haunt the left. But I think that's maybe optimistic for the politics of these guys.
What's
I think
your
there's
on the other side, assuming the US does not go down the road of one battle after another, what is your kind of like most plausible, reasonable hope the direction the US game can go? Because obviously we had Jeremy Corbyn in the UK, who in terms of domestic policy, was not that much of a revolutionary. But in his plans to disconnect the United Kingdom from the NATO global imperialist network, was actually very much revolutionary in that sense. And obviously, he could have. There was a thin chance, at least, he could have been prime minister at least for a while before he was taken down by like the army and the bond market. What's kind of your most reasonable hope for a figure like that in the United States, and what they would mean for the United States and for the rest of the world?
It's so hard to say. I think that it generally it looks super bleak right now with, you know, the disappearances and the all of the insanity that we're getting from the Trump administration. But like actual proper like civil governance is something that the state feels like it's struggling to do. And I think the first people to be able to actually deliver that are going to be able to get like a huge swath of popular support behind them. If that means that you know, if figures like Mamdani can actually deliver something material, or even just like, you know, a couple big wins that actually help people, it will portend well for the future of kind of this kind of organizing. For that to happen, I mean, John Fain better get busy.
I mean, for the next Democratic primary, like the lead in the polls is that fucking freak from California.
Oh Jesus! Yeah,
it seems like the most like it's like this is just like the line politician meme made into like a fleshy man. Like,
if Newsom just ends up squeezing it out, I think there's a chance he you know, skates by 8 years and keeps a strong enough like electoral majority that
I wouldn't be surprised
they can get by.
If we win a general election. It just wouldn't be good for anyone.
Yeah, no, I that's the kind of thing that I just don't think is it. We need to actually deliver stuff, and that is the kind of thing that sets us up for you know, a Tom Cotton presidency. But like the state actually has to deliver something, like the kind of basic social contract type of stuff. Like if we're gonna have a fucking if we're gonna give up, you know, some of our autonomy, we have to actually get something in return. And there's only so long that we can run a state that is just, you know, austerity and things getting worse, and then you know, like police crackdown and like military adventurism.
The 50-year mortgage thing seems like a real like closing of like the horizon of hope in like the country which is meant to have like the most hope filled of all the countries, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, even like older people that like I would expect to be more like, you know, at least more like, you know, oh, you're young, you gotta see the future. They're like, oh shit, feeling pretty bleak.
Yeah, cause like 50-year mortgage instead of like just it's a perfect thing of like, okay, it's impossible for you to get a 30-year mortgage because you're too poor and interest rates are too high.
Mm-hmm.
So what if we just annex another 20 years of your life to being a debtor?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that does open up some more kind of organizing opportunities. I mean, yeah, shout out to a couple people.
If you've got a 50-year mortgage, it's really not that much different from renting. Like, yeah, obviously, well, that's your children. But
so there's a couple people. Yeah, there's the New York tenants unions are a little kind of scattershot. There's the biggest one is in Crown Heights, but there's a few that are kind of loosely amalgamated. There's a big one in Kansas City that has had a lot of success, and they're organizing tenants both from like they are treating homeowners as tenants to organize for the union. That you're whether you're a tenant from a landlord or essentially a tenant from a bank,
right?
You both have like kind of your interests do actually align in a way that you're like stuck paying this monthly fee to live in the place that you want to live. What actual like levers that's going to give us moving forward is hard to say. But I think that those kind of having kind of robust institutions outside of the state is going to be necessary for getting kind of any part of our you know, moving in the direction that we would like it to go to actually happen. I mean, a couple Starbucks shops organizing like 12 people is fantastic. It's good for them, but it's not enough to like protect us from the real like capital degeneration that's coming.
And also when Starbucks seems to be able to crack these groups by literally just closing the stores or whatever, because they're so kind of intensely fearful of the unions, which is a funny thing because US unions are not militant normally at all.
No, not really. I think there is like a real like paranoia in the capital class because they've gone like personally they've gone so long in a real ideological bubble that their kids go off to like Emerson or whatever and come back being like, oh hey, I read like some basic sociology, and they start talking about how like maybe capitalism has problems, and that fucking scares the shit out of their like parents, and they're like, oh fuck, the communists are coming to take everything I have. So they're like really really jumpy about basic stuff like union, like the unions in the US are like not like, I don't want to disparage the union movement, but since like the 70s they have not been a force for leftward change.
Yeah, and if you have a union which is bad enough, if you as an employer can get a union organized but then make it just bad enough, you can use it to actively serve your interests.
Yeah. I mean, basically everyone I know that's in a union is at the very best a little like apprehensive about union leadership. Like they're never like, oh yeah, no, that's my fucking guy. I think that ship sailed with fucking Al Capone maybe.
I mean, in the UK, some random guy I know on Facebook just became head of RMT.
What is that?
The Rail Maritime Union.
Oh, you guys still have like actual railroads.
Oh yeah,
like commuter rail and stuff. That's like it's. I mean, we have railroads here, but it's like it's ridiculous. Like it's
like a once weekly train or whatever.
I took a train down to like New York to DC, which is a straight line. Like it should be a fine train ride. It was like last summer. We did a live show down there, and that was like a $90 train ticket.
Wow. Yeah, I mean trains are expensive in the UK, but at least there's a lot of them. Like when I lived in Newcastle, I'd visit my mum in Durham, and that's like an 8-minute train trip. And it was one where like I wouldn't check the times before I left. They were frequent enough that I would just turn up and get on one, even though it was intercity rail.
I mean, that's the subway. At least between like 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. they only run every 30 minutes, but
oh, you got a night subway. Yeah, because in Newcastle, I mean, it's not a big city, but we also have a metro system, luckily.
It's a real luxury.
we had the only intercity metro system because it goes to Sunderland until a Chinese city took the title from us.
Damn China. Doing those, like building trains and infrastructure.
On actually in York train station, you can see a grim reminder of history, because on there it shows a rail map from the 1960s before the beaching cuts, and there's like a train station going to every village.
Does that hurt to look at?
Oh yeah, it's like this is a fallen record of a greater time. It's funny, like the UK is not a post-socialist country, but often it feels like it is.
Because even if it wasn't, you know, if you didn't have it all socialized, you still had some of the stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we're like
social programs.
We're post-social democratic.
Yeah. Jesus,
country.
post-social democratic is dark.
Yeah, it's grim. I mean, it's just a grim country.
Yeah.
On hope or a lack therefore of, do you have any last comments, Quinn?
I mean, I don't think hope is the right framework to look at it. I think if we're being really like clear-eyed and rational about what's probably going to happen in this country and what's probably going to happen to the rest of the world, and not to look at those IPCC reports, but what's probably going to happen, to all of us in our ecosphere, it's going to get a lot worse before anything gets better. And so I think that hope is something that's easily broken.
I saw a Syrian post that last December, and how right he was.
I think the problem with hope is that it is very much reliant on like having any kind of basis. Like, I think that we have to be a bit like existentialist about the whole thing. Like, understand that we're probably fucked and we're probably gonna lose, and like, try anyway.
I forget the phrase, but what is it, like hope of the cynicism of the something of the spirit?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Fuck. I could remember that too.
Activity of the body, something.
Pessimism of the intellect, optimism of the will.
There we go. Yeah.
Took me a minute. We were there together.
I've been trying to remember that for like a week.
Well, we got there together.
Quinn, do you want the main show outro or the cartoon outro? I assume you want the main show outro because you also made that one.
Do the cartoon outro. I'm not picky. I mean, I don't think I've made any of these in over 8 months, so I'm not that attached to them.
All right, you've seen them too many times.
I mean, I spent hours staring at them.
Yes.
Right in the first place.
Yeah.
Once I see them the first time, it's like, all right, cool, done.
We're gonna choose one that you've never seen before. So
fantastic. Let's go. Surprise me.
Yeah, sadly there aren't many other options. There's like 8 intros, but only 2 outros, which makes sense.
I gotta get on that.
I'm not saying bye to Quinn. I'm saying bye to everyone else.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, guys.